He's taken his gin with him. You think it's water, don't you? So talking about the results then from C4C, one of the results, of course, is access to expert advice, and that's going to enable these innovative multi-stakeholder clinical trials to take place. Well, to tell us more about getting in touch with that expert advice, I'd like to welcome to the stage Professor Saskia de Wildt, who is a professor of clinical pharmacology and a pediatric intensivist at Radboud University. Welcome. Welcome. Ooh, mind the step.
Well, thank you everyone for coming and for your interest. And it's a big honor that actually I can present here today the work that we did to set up the expert advice in Connect for Children. And that's not a one-woman show, that's a big, large person's show with the team at Radboud, but also the representatives from industry and academia that have together cooked up what I tell to people. We've built a consultancy company that's very successful. So what did we build and what do we have on offer? Well, the problem statements has already been said by Heidrun. We're still, even now, in the era where there's about 50% of the drugs in kids are off-label. Luckily, in Europe, the pediatric regulation mandated companies to start doing pediatric trials in kids, and then one of the main reasons why we started, why C4C was actually initiated, is that a lot of the trials that academia, but also industry were starting, were failing. And the first thing that you start to look when you want to do a trial is the design of the trial, and then, of course, the execution. But it already went wrong with many trials with the design. And that's where the C4C advice has come in and is coming in. So if you have the clinicians, if you have methodologists, and you have patients that all can come together and give advice on the best design of your trial, then the chance that your trial will actually run and will actually come to a fruitful end is much higher. So what did we do? And this was Mark's and Ron Portman's idea, is we should make an advice service where we actually do bring these three groups of people together. So not going out for 1 or 2 or 3 key opinion leaders, you go on PubMed or you go within your own network and you try to find these people and you bring them together. No, we as C4C, we should build a network based on the different subspecialties in pediatrics, groups with methodologists, pharmacometrics, study design, ethics, omics, HTA, etc., and a large network of patients and patients and parents with the expertise how to involve these patients and parents. If we bring them all together, then companies, but also academia, could come to us and then present their problem or their question, wherever they are in the drug development process. We can then go and pick the right experts for them, bring them together in a meeting, and then also write a report which they can then use internally or even to the regulator. And that's actually what we did. So over the last 6-7 years, we built a network of more than 400 experts. And all these experts have, about 87% of them have contracts. So so when you come to C4C and you want to use this service, then we already have the contracts in place. So you don't have to get these confidentiality and consultancy contracts because they are already there. And these people have done this before, so they know what is demanded from them when we ask them to give advice for a drug development process, and we're training them all the time. So here it says prove a model in 3 academic and 8 industry studies. So we've used it already to design some of these studies early on, also in the C4C project. But as Mark has said, we have provided advice at more than 40 companies and academic institutions on their drug development or their pediatric trial or a funding application. So how does it work and what is the perspective for the user? So if you approach C4C, then you'll come to our single point of contact. We call it SPOC. And we try to organize within a week an interview or a scoping interview to figure out what your exact question is, and then we can give you an offer on what we can organize for you. The expert advice meeting can then be organized within 8 to 10 weeks because, of course, we already have the contracts in place, and for quite a number of companies, we already also have master service agreements in place, so we don't need a new contract between C4C and the company. So we can speed this up very quickly, dependent on the availability of everyone, but also on the company and or the academic requester, to put together all the information that's needed for the meeting, and then the advice report will be written by the team within 1 to 2 weeks. And that reduces, it's also on the poster there, that reduces the time that you need to get your advice. So what we did, we evaluated the quality of the advice, the speed as well. So we asked the requesters what they thought about the service that we have delivered. So on a scale from 0 to 5, not 0 to 10, that would be bad, you can see here the outcome. So the quality of the scoping was evaluated on a scale to 5 as a 4.7. The timelines to get the report and also the quality of the advice were all rated extremely high. Here are some quotes from requesters. Very, very well coordinated advice process. Quality of experts was very good. One of the things that we've noticed is that in general, companies, but also we as academic researchers, we go and we have our friends, and you have your key opinion leaders, or as I already said, you go to PubMed, you try to find that person. But if you want advice on a certain disease, that person may not always be very loudly on PubMed, because that may be a very specialized clinician who does a lot of clinics. And we've been able to also find these kind of experts that you may not find directly, but that are instrumental for you to design your trial in a really good way, because they know the disease and they know their patients. It was an excellent process. People were incredibly impressed. The advice process was very smooth. So I'll show you three examples of advices that we've gave. One was for a company in the PIP process to support the response. Another company wanted a PIP modification, and the last one needed advice on practice. So it's there's a lot of lines here, but the background is that it's a big company, and they had a tight deadline to respond to the regulatory agency on their PIP. And we were able, because we had this contracting structure in place, to get the right experts and get information from the expert network so that they could provide a quick response to the regulator on their plan. 1.5 times faster than our aim. We were even faster than 12 weeks, was within 8 weeks. And again, 4.5 times faster than the average 36 weeks that the average company needs to get an expert advice organized. Second, expert advice to enable a PIP modification. So a company was already running their clinical trial. They were running into problems, and they for feasibility, not quickly enough, including patients. So they wanted to have advice if they could reduce the number of participants. So again, we leveraged the networks, expert advised on a change in the sample size, and that was shared with the client, and they used it to submit a PRP modification. So advice provided, and the client shared it with the regulatory agency. And then third, it's a bit cryptic, but this has to do with the confidentiality. So a company needed advice on how to give a certain treatment intervention, and they needed advice how this was already being done in different countries so that they could implement it in the protocol. And so they wanted a questionnaire. So I didn't want an advice request, as I discussed before, like a couple of experts and then a meeting and then a report, but more granular advice throughout the C4C network. So our advice group co-drafted the questionnaire, and then experts, but also through our national hubs and sites throughout Europe, across, of course, the logical clinical areas, were approached for an answer. And this led indeed to a multidisciplinary and multinational view of practice, because we felt that if we would ask a few experts that would not give a good view on how they should implement this modality. And they also gathered additional information which really helped to then design the study protocol. So they told me I had to be quick, so I'm quick. This is the end. More information, the URL code, or go to the website. And of course, again, thanks to the big team, the team that's doing all the work behind the scenes. I'm here shining, but if I would have done it, it would not have been there. So thank you all, and thank you to all the collaborators in the work package.
Thank you. Stay with us. Thank you very much.